Hello, my name is Amazil. Today I just wanted to go over what you need for your first hamster. So this video will be mostly focused on Syrians, is that what I have personal experience on, but I will note a few key differences for dwarfs and Chinese hamsters where it's relevant. Keep in mind that hamster actually describes several separate species, each with their own separate care requirements. So if you have a dwarf or a robo, make sure to do some extra research beyond this video. This video will also be focused on products available in the United States. And this is my hamster. She's in this tank right now. She's not awake yet, but I will show some clips. She is a female Syrian named Koda. So the first and most important thing that you need is a proper enclosure. So my personal recommendation is 1,000 square inches or 6,500 square centimeters. Most credible sources will say the minimum is around 800 square inches or 5,000 square centimeters for Syrians, but bigger is always better, and I find 1,000 square inches gives your hamster enough room to fit everything they need comfortably. So some good recommendations to hit this requirement are 120-gallon tanks of the long variety, the Bucket State 3.0, and the paw hut with all the levels removed, which is what I personally have. So the reason to remove the levels in the paw hut is that hamsters have terrible eyesight and depth perception, so it is a fall risk. And levels don't actually count towards floor space. So if these are too expensive, I've seen some particularly crafty people put two 200-quart bins together. So to do this, you'll cut one end off of each bin, connect them with brackets, and attach chicken wire to the lids for ventilation. And you'll want to leave around a 1 to 2 inch or 3 to 5 centimeter ledge around the chicken wire section and secure it with zip ties. So if there's any gaps where the bins connect, aquarium silicone should seal them up pretty safely and nicely. So just let it dry for about 24 hours before putting your hamster in. And it's a bit of a project, but it is a really cost-effective way to hit the space requirement. Thank you to my friend for this tutorial on the screen. The second thing you'll need is bedding. Hamsters are burrowers by nature, so it's really important that they have as much as possible. I personally use KD Clean and Cozy mixed with Small Pet Select and KD Aspen. So before using paper bedding or any bedding, make sure to shake or beat it out first, as some brands can be quite dusty. And you want to let most of that settle before putting it in your enclosure. I've even seen some people put them in a mesh laundry bag and shake it outside. So I would recommend paper bedding above wood as it holds burrows better. But mixing in wood shavings can add some extra texture. If you do decide to mix in wood, in the US, aspen is your best widely available safe option. Pine and cedar contain natural oils that are toxic to hamsters, so avoid those entirely. And if you're outside the US, spruce bedding like gypsy and birch are also safe options. The same goes for anything scented like KD Lavender. Since hamsters have very sensitive respiratory systems and can't handle strong smells for long periods of time without getting sick, so bedding should be at least 8 inches or 20 centimeters, but the highest part of my enclosure, over here, actually goes up to 12 inches or 30 centimeters. More bedding is always best. And the third thing you'll need is a wheel. I personally have a wooden Night Angel 12-inch or 30 centimeter wheel. For dwarfs, wheels need to be at least 10 inches and 25 centimeters, and for Syrians and Chinese, at least 12 inches and 30 centimeters. Some good 12-inch wheel options are from Night Angel, Bucket State, Exotic Nutrition, Fun's First Tail, and Full Cheeks and Katie. The reasoning for why you might need a bigger wheel size than you might have originally thought is because their backs actually can curve when running if their wheel is too small, and it will cause long-term back issues and pain. And if you have a dwarf or a robo, keep in mind that photopus species have fur on the underside of their feet, which can make them slip on flat acrylic surfaces, like some Bucket State wheels. A wheel with a mild ridge, like Night Angel, or a cork-lined wheel can help with traction. Robos in particular can also throw themselves out of their wheel until they learn to stop, so make sure that there's soft landing in front of the wheel as a landing pad. This is actually one of the reasons a bigger wheel is recommended, as they can control it better. So hamsters in the wild will move for up to 10 miles or 16 kilometers at a time, so it is really important that they have a wheel to prevent stress. And the fourth thing you'll need is food. It is worth noting that different hamster species have different dietary needs. So if you have a Campbell's dwarf, hybrid, or Chinese hamster, they are all prone to diabetes. So fruit and high sugar vegetables like beetroot and carrot should be avoided entirely. This video covers Syrian dietary needs specifically. A lot of hamster food you'll find at pet stores isn't actually nutritionally complete. Many of them are mostly seeds with filler ingredients and not enough protein, or they're pellets with little nutrition. And a hamster diet should make up about 4 to 7% fat, 12 to 15% protein, and 10 to 15% fiber for an adult hamster. I personally have my Koda on Bunny Nature Hamster Dream, but some people in the US, a better option, though slightly more expensive, is Robin's Mix on Etsy. Higgins Sunburst is also another viable option and is available at most pet stores. However, if you have the means to order online, I definitely recommend the two former options. Whichever mix you go with, you want something with a good variety of seeds, grains, and insects for protein. Hamsters are omnivores, so protein is really important, especially for younger and older hamsters. I'd also recommend supplementing with fresh veggies a few times a week. Some safe options are broccoli, cauliflower, and spinach in small amounts, so about the size of their ear to prevent mold if it gets pouched, and just avoid anything high in sugar or water content like fruit, as too much can cause diarrhea or weight issues. My personal veggie and fruit schedule is a rotating schedule between broccoli or cauliflower daily with spinach once a week, a dried piece of apple slice once every 2 weeks, and she gets cucumber and lettuce once a month. With anything, make sure to give in moderation and monitor your ham the first time they try a new food. One of the easiest things you can do is scatter feed. Instead of putting food in a bowl, hide it throughout the bedding so your hamsters forage for it. It's free, it's easy, and it makes a big difference in their enrichment. The fifth thing you'll need is a hide. So hamsters are prey animals, which means they're hardwired to want a safe, enclosed space to sleep and retreat to when they feel stressed. Without one, your hamster will likely be more anxious and harder to tame. I personally have multiple hides in Koda's enclosure, but at minimum, you want at least one that is fully enclosed with a small entrance hole. Minimum recommendation for the number of hides is 5, though personally, I would say around 3 is a good number to aim for when first setting up, but you should try to go above that. Some good materials are ceramic, coconut, and wood. Just make sure if it's wood that it's an untreated hardwood. But not all hardwoods are safe though. For example, oak should be avoided. And not a softwood, since softwoods can contain splinters and resin. Avoid fabric hides entirely, as hamsters will chew on them and ingested fibers can cause internal blockages. The sixth thing you'll need is a water bowl. You can use a water bottle, but I personally like to use bowls as it's how they are used to drinking in the wild. Some opt to use both as they can choose what they like best. Using a bottle may take them more time to learn, and it could even get clogged and leave them with no water, or it could start leaking, which can cause their bedding to become damp or moldy. The seventh thing you'll need is a sand bath. Sand baths are how hamsters naturally clean themselves, and they roll around in sand to remove excess oils from their fur, so it's an important part of their hygiene routine. You want to use a container big enough for your hamster to fully roll around in and keep it in the enclosure permanently so they can access it whenever they want. About 2-inch or 6 centimeters of depth of sand is recommended for Syrians. For sand, you want to use real sand, or reptile sand like Reptisand is a popular option. What you want to do is avoid calcium sand, dust, clay, or dyed sand. So these are too fine and can cause respiratory irritation or digestive blockages if ingested. You also want to avoid anything labeled as hamster bath sand or chinchilla dust at pet stores, as these are usually too powdery. The sand bath is also a great spot to put a little extra digging texture. I actually use one of mine to hold cocoa coir as a second digging substrate other than the main sand. The eighth thing you'll need is enrichment. Enrichment is basically anything that keeps your hamster mentally and physically stimulated. In the wild, hamsters spend most of their night foraging, exploring, digging, and chewing, so your job is to recreate that as much as possible in your enclosure. Millet and herb sprays are another great foraging option. You can hang them in the enclosure or hide them in the bedding, and your hamster will spend a good chunk of their night picking at them. For chewing, hamsters' teeth never stop growing, so they need things to wear them down. Safe options include cardboard, egg cartons, if you're in the US where eggs are washed during production. Outside the US, cartons can carry bacteria, so bake them first or skip them. Untreated hardwood and natural chews like willow balls or apple sticks. Avoid anything with dyes, resins, or added honey. For physical enrichment, things like pork pieces, tunnels, and grapevine wood are all great additions. If you do use tunnels, make sure the diameter is at least 7 centimeters or 2.7 inches so your hamster can move through them safely. The small ones from the pet store tube cage sets are generally too narrow. Cork logs and natural wood tunnels are the most popular choice in the hamster community, and wooden or bendy bridges with any large gaps filled in with moss or paper towels are great too. I'd also recommend doing a toy rotation. Swapping out items every week or so keeps the enclosure feeling new and gives your hamster something to explore. Though, depending on your ham's personality, it can actually cause more stress, so definitely monitor the first time. My personal schedule is every Sunday. You don't need to spend a lot either. Egg cartons and cardboard toilet paper rolls are completely free and most hamsters will love them. Just make sure for Syrians any roll you use is at least 2.7 inches or 7 centimeters in diameter. So the 9th thing you'll need is optional. I would recommend it though. It's a playpen. So a playpen is an enclosed space outside of the enclosure where you can safely interact with your hamster during the taming process. Free roaming your hamster in a room before they're fully tamed is risky. Hamsters are fast, can fit into incredibly small spaces, and are hard to catch once they're loose. A playpen lets them explore and get used to you in a controlled space. You can buy one specifically made for small animals, or a lot of people use a clean storage bin or pop up a laundry hamper. Just make sure the walls are high enough that they can't climb out. Hamsters are surprisingly good climbers. If you can't afford a whole other playpen, don't worry. I use my bathtub lined with a towel and some of her toys and items in her wheel. Once you're further in the taming process, which I can make a whole other video about, you can even sit in the tub with them and let them climb on you on their own terms. So the 10th and final thing you'll need is an exotic vet. This is really overlooked a lot, but it's really important. Not every vet treats small animals, so you want to find one that specializes in exotic pets before your hamster ever gets sick. Waiting until there's an emergency to find a vet is stressful and can cost you precious time. I'd recommend calling around to local exotic vets as soon as you can get your hamster and establishing them as a patient. Hamsters are also good at hiding illness, so by the time they're showing obvious symptoms that they're already pretty sick, having a vet you trust ready to go can make a huge difference. And that's the 10 things you'll need for your first hamster. I know it can feel like a lot, but getting them set up right from the beginning makes a huge difference for your hamster's quality of life, and honestly, makes the whole experience more enjoyable for you too. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to help. My next video is going to cover taming, so if you just got your hamster and you're not sure where to start with bonding, that one's for you. If this was helpful, subscribe so you don't miss it, and I'll see you in the next one.